Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a basic interpreter. We've done a lot of the work around assignment statements and we did for loops and some of the other control structures, but now we're working on sort of, well, an extension from the original basic where we want to be able to refer to, we want to have multiple statements on a line and then refer to them. So in the original basic, you could say go to line 20 or if some condition, then 17 and branch to that line number. But when you allow multiple statements per line, now things like for loops and subroutines, they have to be able to return to the middle of the line as well. And so we're dealing with that. I wasn't quite sure how to best reference that middle of the line. And I considered some hierarchical ways of describing it because it's a big tree, the statements are. But I think I'm going to go with this simpler approach. So in the example here, go sub represents any statement other than an if statement. And then, so this one we have go sub, the first go sub, the second go sub, if C then go sub, if C2 then go sub, and a final go sub. And the way it binds is it's kind of a rightmost thing. So if C2 then the last two go subs go together. And for if C, the go sub and the if statement go together. And then overall, there's three top level things. And you can see that in the tree there, let lists of statement equal. We got go sub 0, the first one, go sub 1. And then the third one, the sequence, I'm using that for prototype purposes or spike purposes. A sequence contains a bunch of statements, just like an if statement does. And it contains two statements, the go sub 2 and the sequence, which is go sub 3 and 4, the last two. And we developed code to handle if I give you a list of statements like that, where I promise, the big thing is I promise that I'm never going to, an if statement will always be the last statement because the if consumes everything else in the line. So you can have arbitrary many non-if statements, but once you have an if statement, that's the last one. And so this scheme I worked up will work for that. That basically we can pull out any of those leaf nodes by referencing their top level piece. Okay, so if we go for, I think 2 is probably the interesting one in a sense because 0, 1, 2, well, that's an if statement. Okay, if you want 2, then you're getting 2. You're going inside the statement and slot 0 inside the statement is that go sub, and so you get that. And I think, we want to maintain locations now as line number plus the position inside this thing. And it sort of works out that the top level, if you broke it up by top level colons, that's not semantically correct, but it sort of gets you to the right place. You just have to know an if state. If it turns out to be an if statement, then you got to get its first child at that position. So anyway, the code for it ended up being pretty simple. Basically, we look and check if you ask for an index before the last one, then it's going to be a plain old statement, okay? And that's the fall through case lists of index. If you ask for something greater than or equal to the last one, well, then we look and see, if it's a sequence inside, then we take the inner one and we access that with at and an offset. So the list.count plus 1 says, kind of my parents, I'm chopping off the nodes that preceded my parents, and now I've got the indexes inside. And, in the end, everybody's going to end up in that last return list of index. It's just how they get there. Okay. Let me run tests. Looks like I did, but just to make sure. Okay. And one of the other things that is in here is like we had this sequence which holds an array of statements. And I was happy in a way. It's nice because it's like, oh, I can represent an arbitrary block of statements, but BASIC doesn't really do that. And I'm thinking, maybe my original model is better. So on my if statements, originally I just had them contain an array of statements. And, so I kind of would like this to become more like if, okay, or something like that. Basically because I don't want to worry about I don't want the model to be make it possible to put like the sequence where 905 is. If I stuck in a sequence between those two, that can't happen in BASIC. At least the versions we're working on, um, and sort of allowing this arbitrary positioning in a way that doesn't match up to the possibilities. It just seems like it's going to make trouble. Like we have trees we don't allow, and no one's going to know to detect that. There's nothing that would tell me in advance. And then my counting scheme for where's my location, I would need something more like a tree path or something like that if I had sequences in the middle and so on. Because I only have sequences at the end that may contain sequences at their end, it all works out. Um, I don't know. Like I don't know. Visual Basic may it probably allows arbitrary blocks in the middle, and they have to do a more complicated approach. At some point, you kind of cross over the line. In Basic, the original one, you had those line numbers go to 10, whatever, and that kept it all pretty simple. But it's pretty darn ugly to look at line numbers and have to renumber them and all that stuff. And so Visual Basic gets rid of most line numbers, at least can. Um, there's something to be said for evolving the language. Okay. So let's see. So where does that leave us? Well, we're in interpreter. It's kind of a refactoring. Well, in a sense, we've done the refactoring part, I guess. We introduced a location type, which is line number plus sequence point, which is my name for the slots in the global colon delimited list. And everybody that needed line number before now uses location, but we only ever create locations with a sequence point of 0 corresponding to the start of a line number. And that's the part that's going to have to change. Okay. Let's see. So I don't know if it may make sense to deal with this if statement thing first. So what you have here is we modeled this. Originally, we modeled it with array of statement, and I want to get back to that, I think. Now we put in statement, and you could either have a single statement or you could have a sequence of statements, which is accurate in that sense, but really the only place sequence is, well, no, that's not true. I was going to say the only place it's legal is this, but you can also have it at the top level for your statements. And we call that a parse right now. I'm thinking maybe the parse should be the list of statements on the line as well. And this is kind of speculation. Although I think because we did this the other way already, I kind of know how that's going to come out. But, what I'm worried about is if instead of just looking at the if, now I have to go inside the statement and then decide, are you a sequence of statements? And that seems like I'm digging down 2 levels to get to the basic information I want. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch over to back to the array form. Everybody's going to complain. Well, not everybody, but number of places. Okay. Cannot convert statement to expected type. Well, we're creating one. We got to give it an array of statements. Okay. And same thing here. Okay, let's statements is an array, but this method takes a single statement. So let's do rename to statements. Okay, and this, all right, and then to make it, I mean, in the spirit of refactoring, I'm gonna pull out statement last. Okay, so, oh well, that didn't work. Okay, before the current way, we only put one thing in there. Okay. And it is either a simple statement or a sequence. Okay. Cannot convert statement. Oh, well, what do we got here? Statement. That's old. Okay. Let's bring on the test errors. No? Okay. I guess nobody's at that level. Oh, there they are. Okay. Statement has no member print. Okay. We're going to. Let's get this. I think that goes there. Statement has no member sequence. Okay. This one's gonna change. For now, I'm gonna do this, but the test will have to change. Okay. I want to get rid of sequence at some point. That seems okay. Let's rebuild. I hate not trusting it. Oh, I put my bracket in the wrong place. Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't put a bracket in. Excuse me. Oh, dear. Okay. That one. That one. I think that probably goes here. Oh, it's 2 levels deep. Okay, okay. Excuse me. All right, we'll make that. Okay. And now, all right. I think what I want to do now is get rid of the sequence. So statements is going to return a sequence, I think. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, yeah, statements returns a sequence of statements. And say statements is called in 2 places. One is on the line, and the other is in our if thing. Okay. So I'm gonna duplicate this. Okay, and I'm just gonna call it statements 2 for a minute. And I want statements 2 to return an array of statements, which is easy enough because I have that array right here. I'll just return that. Okay. We'll have to return an array there. We're in pollen season here, I think, unfortunately. Okay. So the statements too, I want to use that back down in my if. Was that, well, if then, if expert. Okay, now statements, we're going to use statements too. And we're just going to return that. Okay, so we created this version that returns the array of stuff, and we just use it. All right, and a number of tests that returned sequence in the old days will no longer have sequence. They'll have a list of statements. Okay, so the if gets an array, no sequence, and we get rid of that. One more. Maybe let's bracket it like that. Okay, be a little obvious. Now, interpreter tests, I'm surprised none of them failed. But anyway, okay, so we got this bracket. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And this bracket, get rid of that. Okay, now why I'm nervous is the change we made in the interpreter here. We're only executing the first statement on an if, so why didn't somebody catch that? That makes me think we're missing some tests. If tests are pretty high, I think. Okay, let's add one. Okay, so if 1, then print 25, print 30. We expect to see 25 and 30, and then 50 because everybody prints that. And I think this test is going to fail. If it doesn't, my expectations are wrong. Okay, what the heck? Why is interpreter able to just run one statement? Let's try this with false. Printed 30, 50. Oh no, just print 50. Okay, this is one of those interesting situations where the test passes, and I don't know why. Okay, do if. Let's stop in here and see what's going on. All right, so do if should be called on this structure. All right, print. Oh, I was looking over here. Doesn't that count for anything? Okay, our statements is an array of statements, and it's a print and a print. It's funny. I should have probably said first, because we were originally passing one entry arrays. Okay, so anyway, we'll step over that. Step over that. But condition is not 0. What happened? Oh, okay. Condition is a number. Thank you. 1. All right, so we should go into the try step on statement. What's statement? Print 30. Okay. So, like, what happened to print 25? How's it getting in there? Output just empty. Let's step over. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Step out. Step over. Line 50. Did my test not really run? What? Okay. I'll just step over. 3050. Okay. Should be at the end. Yep. Output 3050. What? Okay, that's the problem I was expecting. Okay, I don't know why that passed the first time. I guess I could watch the video and find out. All right, but at any rate, what we're seeing is we only executed the last one. All right, and now I don't mind. I don't mind using sequence internally. Do I? I was hoping not to need it, I guess. But I mean, I could do this. Now my statement, I turn it back into a sequence, which well, okay. Um, which I do know how to interpret because I have it still here. Um, all right, so I'm forcing parse has no member sequence. Oh, statement. Okay. So this is a statement. Right. I mean, I think this should pass. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take it kind of from end to end here. All right, I have the if with array of statements. My parser uses that statements to get it. All right, and then we use it. Okay. I guess I'm wondering if my original one can use it too, but that's fine. Now, interpreter gets an if with a series of statements. It wraps them in a sequence. Let's see if I can do that here. Okay. And I don't need it here. All right. Should be equivalent. I guess the tricky thing. Okay. What are we doing here? Index at top level can find nested statements. Okay, yeah, that we pretty much did the spike last time. Okay, I guess we recorded that. So now we're make if use statement instead of sequence. Okay. We're using sequence internally. Okay. That part makes me a touch uncomfortable. Oh, but okay. Yeah, so this has to be a sequence now because right now we say parse takes a statement. All right, so maybe we're okay for now. All right, let's make sure tests are passing. Okay, so make if take array of statement instead of statement using sequence. All right. Now, what about parse? This one I'm not as sure about, but I think I want to make it hold statements as well. Let's find usages on that, or whatever Xcode does. Okay, a bunch of tests. the real parse. I guess I want to find parse constructors. Okay. That didn't work so well. Text contain that. Okay, test create some. Interpreter has 2 places it creates them, and parser has 2 places. Okay, so that's few enough. I'm gonna just go for it. Okay, so statements now becomes array of statement, which means this needs to become an array as well. And this is now statements. Okay. Parse needs to be an array. Line number statements. Parse. Well, let's try statements too, because it returns an array already. Okay. And then the interpreter. Step location line number. What? Oh, $0. Okay. Do sequence. Is that gonna work? Okay. Line number, sequence of statements. I don't need that anymore. Because parse takes statements. Okay, now the tests. Parse 10. Well, we can just wrap that one. Result.statement. Let's see who uses this. Lots of people. Let's make a version. Let's call it check one statement. Okay. Result.statements.first and expected is well, let's do it this way. We'll wrap expected. Okay, so they're passing in one statement. Result.statements is a list. Let's turn this into a list. Okay. Now, anybody who uses sequence, I think. Well, there may be a couple failures. No, more than that. Okay. Building parses. I thought that would have caught already. Okay. Hmm. This is the hard one. Okay, let's make sure we just have these two to worry about. No. Type array of statement has no. Okay, thank you. That looks all right. All right. Okay. I want to. I'm going to extract this. I'm not going to extract this. It sure seems like I could extract it. I'll do it manually and hope for the best. Okay, so this is going to be step 1. And where's step? Okay. It's going to take a statement and an output. Okay, can I put all that stuff in? I think what I want to do instead is do parse.statements. Can I do a for each? Somehow I want to say step 1, $0 output. I may have to accumulate. Okay, let me comment this stuff. Okay, that's a big pile of stuff. Okay. Type of expression, let's not worry about that one. Call can throw. Oh. What is the issue here? Let me clean and build. Should be one mistake still, but not here. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, that's the mistake I was expecting. Find next. All right. All right, this I think is the piece we don't do yet. Okay, so let's just take first. Okay, and whoops, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna mark this, I don't know, to do or something, but should find next anywhere in line, not just the first statement. Okay, and that's the piece we're trying to make possible. Okay, so I think it'll build now, and I hope it'll run now. Well, okay. Um, extra new line. Extra new line. I think I see a trend. Okay, let's figure out why we got an extra new line. Interpreter. Okay, good. There's evaluate. Where's step one? I don't see anybody putting a new line in this part. Okay, that's an error message. Error message. And this one. Do print. Well, that one seems okay. This is the one on the print statement. So at the end of each print statement, we don't have a mechanism yet that lets you not move the carriage return, but this puts that there. Well, sorry, this one is pretty simple. I mean, someone's sticking an extra new line in. Who could that be? I guess what did I do differently, right? Okay, I gathered the output from each statement. Okay, let's break here and run this test. Sorry, let's check program results. Not expecting, okay. I'm not sure if I'm running the one test or what. Let's get back there. Okay, here's step. Let's check output before we get started. Empty string. Okay, I'm going to do it at the high level first. Let's look at statements. One print, nothing to it. Okay. If I step over, result, new line. Oh, okay. Step, return result. Well, not done. Okay, step over. None of these are printing anything. All right, let's see what line should be our end statement. All right. Let's step in on this one. Result is still new line. Well, nuts. Oh. Output was already new line from the print. Oh, he shouldn't do that. He should start empty. I think. I'm going to regret not straightening out this output thing. I already do. Okay. So we come in with the output so far is new line. And then step one, the end gives us the output the same. I think this is what it needs to do. Well, no, we got to keep the result like that, I think. Okay, so we start with the output we already had, we append to it, and then that's the new result. Okay, I think that's a better way to go. Continue. All right. Multiple statements on one line. Interesting. Failed. Wait, this is a parser test? Oh, we don't want sequences anymore. Okay. We missed one of those. Oh, check one statement may not be the right test, I guess. Okay. It's only able to look at one statement, and we want to pass in an array of statements. So result.statement should equal expected. Okay. This sequence goes away, but we keep the brackets. Okay, print number 10, print number 20. That's the end of the print. We need the brackets. Let's make sure that nesting is correct. That, okay, I think. Okay. Oh, you still don't know this thing. Oh, this is not. Wait. Let's try being explicit. Statement.print. Statement.print. Okay, these probably aren't needed now. Since I'm being explicit about the right type. Okay, let's test that. Okay. Oh, good. All right. So I think we've. Well, let me clean up two things. One is this. So I think what we would say we've done is now parse has a list of statements and if has a list of statements. I don't think anybody's using sequence at this point. Parse. Okay. Oh, statements 2. Yeah. Let's see who calls statements. Nobody. All right. So let's delete this. And rename this back to statements. All right, make sure. All right, so we've got parse and if use array of statement. Not sequence. All right. I think that's some setup for us basically. So we get the effect. How do I say it? We get the effect that we should be able to use that indexing scheme across them, I guess. Let's take a look. The other thing I want to see is anybody using sequence now. And I'll just do that by commenting it out. I think we have a couple places that do, but maybe don't need to. Okay. Oh, this was our little spike. Let's change this spike. Let's make it use if statements and ignore the case. And then this is a list of statements, which is what we want here. Okay, and then these, if sequence, okay. Good. And this, okay. Since nobody uses it anymore, theoretically. Nice. All right. Okay, yeah. It's like it was a cleverest piece of a solution. It would be right in some languages, but I think it was wrong for us. And well, let's just find the word sequence. Oops. Sequence point, that's okay. All right. Okay. I think well, we're definitely ready to consider how do we use the locations. And I think we need to increment. I think the way we do this may be a little off. I think what we need to do, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's this. Um, this location, right? Somehow we should be incrementing the sequence number. Okay. Um, that's a good thing to do after a break. So we'll take a break, and then I think what we'll do, what the effect I'm looking for is, let me just create a little program here. Okay, this works. I would like to. Well, let me make a new line. Let's do line 20 is simpler. All right. I would like to make, instead of my location counter going 20, 0, 25, 0, 30, 0, I would like to go from 20, 0 to 21 to 22, colon 1, colon 2, and then to 25. So the mechanism of figuring out the next statement given the current one, today it's simple. You just go to the next line in the program. This, I think, we want to make it more sophisticated. I know we do. So we'll pick up there. I think that computation of what's the next location, we're going to extract that to a method, and then we can test that more directly. All right. And I think what will happen there, interpreter, I think step one, no, step, I don't know if, I don't know if we need the notion of if we want to work on the parse or just on a statement. I think step might just want to work on a statement. Okay. And then let the loop up here control, this is that location stuff. I want to make that kind of fall out of this. Parse of line. That's yeah. There's something going on. We can definitely change what's going on there. All right. Let's take that break and about 3 minutes, and we'll come back and see what we can do to make this location work through the sequence points within a line. And maybe I got to find a better name for that. My clock's fast. Or no, maybe it's slow. Okay. Oh, it's on time. Okay. That's unusual. All right. So let's take a 3 minute break or so. Hey, welcome back. All right. So I think this run loop, the interaction between run loop and the step loop is going to be what we focus on. But what I see here is this temp. This is the attempt to build up the location and adjust the next line number. Okay. So a go-to still has to explicitly say next line number equals the new line. Okay. And then so when we do that, we then check if we can get the line, or we get the line if possible, and If not, it's an error, and then we parse the line, and then we step through the line. I think I want to change the way this line gets loaded in. I think the parse. I think we want to keep the parse course. I think it wants to be a field, and we want to make it correspond to the current line number. And then when we step, we don't need the whole parse. I don't think. We just need the statement of the current location. Okay, so I think almost all this. Okay, let's make this more global first. Make it a field. Okay, and parser. I think it's just type is parser, right? Oh, parse. Okay. Let's get the parse. And where's parser? I think we set up a parser somewhere, didn't we? Okay, there it is. Program, let's move this up. All right, and so now our constructor has to set the parse, right? We got the first line number, so let's do parse equals parser dot parse of we have to get the line too. Oh, it's more work than I want. All right, let's go in here. I guess I'm worried about, can you make an empty program? I don't think we have to worry about that. The mechanism that runs it is not going to let you run it if you don't have anything in there. So I think we're okay to do that. It's just the repetition that bugs me, I guess. All right, so I think we can just, we've asked for the first line number. I think we know it exists. So let's say let line equal this. And I don't know if that's going to be optional. Okay. Given we know it exists, that should be fine. And line. Okay. So at this point, the parse is set. Okay. Now, when do you need to update it? Well, I think you need to update it when the line number changes. So let's rework this. Okay. If next line number is not nil, then we got one case, else the other case. Okay. And I'm just doing this the slow and careful way, I guess you'd say. We don't need the let now. Okay, if next line number not equal nil, well, then we just return this. Otherwise it is nil. Okay. Let's verify the pieces here. Well, that didn't take long. Program 10, go to 10. Let's see what this does. Init lines. I'm more inclined to worry about that one, I guess. All right, let's go to the interpreter. Or is it here? All right, let's make sure we understand. 10, go to 10. Run that. Now wait a minute. Why did we not stop here? Okay. Program has a line in it. Okay, 10, go to 10. Should be 10. Okay. Oh, location. Ooh. Oh. We set location to 0 there, so I guess we need the next line number. I mean, it's really the first line number at this point. Okay, let's try that again. Build failed. Okay. All right. So where we are, we got the kind of like we did in the parser where you seed in the first token. We're seeding in the first line. All right. Now the location, I don't see. Okay. Next line number not nil. It's not, so it becomes that. Okay. Um, I'm inclined to say this. All right. So location. Hmm. All right. Let's make sure that's not breaking. Do small steps here. All right. So I think where we are now is uh, we've got a parse of the current line. We know the current line text, and we've got a parse of it. Um, and we've got the location where the location we want to execute next. Okay. So run should, what should it do? I almost want to reverse this loop and make it like a repeat until. I mean, I think this stuff we've done already. I think it should do this first. Okay. Now, okay, because we know there's a first line. We're going to execute that and then continue on with the calculation for the next line. All right, let's see how this goes. And we know there's a line, I should say, because we forced one in. Output dot drop last. Well, okay. So much for that. We forced the line in because in our program, wherever it got off to, we put this line in for starters no matter what. There's always an implicit end statement. Okay. And let's see what went wrong here. I really want to say I don't know if I'm messing things up. All right. Somehow, what I was envisioning was if you set a new line number, then we've got to do this stuff. We got to find the line and parse it. Okay, and let's make this the global. Okay, that's a small step. Okay. use the field level parser. Parse. All right. What's going on? All right, I've got the current parse. So I should be able to use it here. Instead, we blew up. I'm gonna try again. More than one place blew up, so let's find some of the ones that some of the other ones. That random number one is kind of tricky. Test failed. Empty. We're back to this. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, this is making me suspicious. Did I not run the tests? I thought I did. Okay. So what else is happening here that makes this fail? We've already got next line number. We've already found the line. I think maybe the next line number isn't the right thing. I don't know. I'm feeling dense again today. It's, maybe I just have to get here and do it. Okay, let's stop here. Let's try this test. Okay, so output is empty, I hope. Okay, if we step over. Output's 42. It's over there on the left. Gotta force it out myself to make it valid. Okay. Let's see what next line number. Oh, we're executing it twice. Let's see what location is. Line 25. Okay. So I'm not saying to jump anywhere, so... Oh, but what if that line was a go-to before? I'm not setting this up right, am I? I think, where's line number? Well, location. Yeah, location is next line number. I I don't I think I'm gonna do it like this. And this is nil. Well, let's stop. Okay. Let's just do it down here. Okay, so we're setting up the current location as being the program first line number. Why I couldn't do that before? Let me... Program at first line number. Okay. And then that is nil. Okay, so now we're driving off the location. I think that's going to be more accurate. This does not happen. All right, so output equals try the step, and it's going off the first parse. Okay, let's try this. Only one. Okay, and this one's a funny case. This should be nil at this point. The way we're setting it up now, I'm saying next line number is nil. So I think what I've done, okay, this notion of seeding the first, the first thing we're processing. So we got the parse on the current line, and next line number is nil because nobody said to go anywhere other than location, and which has got to be the first line number, so that's okay. The old way, we would feed the first line number in. The 10 was this. It wasn't this. The new way, we're saying, no, this is the line. It's all set up, ready to go. The next line number is nil. Nobody's tried to branch yet. And once they do try and branch, then the next line number will be 10, which is the current line number, which is fine. But okay, so now okay, so I think what I can say is we make location the initial correspond to the first line of the program to seed the setup. Okay, something like that. All right, so we're sort of shifting our loop from figure it out and then do it to set things up right for the first line, do that, and then go from there. All right, and now Okay. And the good thing is nobody's, I mean, we had some glitches, but basically all that all that existing test stuff we have is happy with the setup now and all that stuff. So I'm happy that that's true. Okay. Now, um, the thing is, we want to go to the next location. What I want to happen, yeah, if the next line number is not nil, or we're at the end of the current line number and we have to go to the next line number, um, then I want to reload the parse. But if I'm just bouncing around within the current line, I don't need to reparse everything. Okay. Now, I'm I'm still a little worried here. Like I don't want to have to do this for each anymore, right? And I don't think it's even right. Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. I'm suspicious that it's not right because if you come in, let's say your program is 10, go to 20 colon x equals 1 y equals 2 blah blah blah, right? The first thing that should happen is it goes to 20 and then there's no more executing this stuff. That's the rest of the line is trashed. It shouldn't be there. So I think this is off. And we don't do the multiple pieces of the line now. So I think, let's see, how do we want to do this? Well, I think we're to the point of changing things. So um, let's find multiple line program fall at the end. Okay. If with multiple statements, that one we definitely do want to go through. All right. Okay. This is more, okay, yeah, let's test multiple statements, one line, and the program ten, go to 20, print 10, 20, print 20. And the string we expect should be just 20. Well, that's the hard mode. Okay. Remaining parts of line don't execute if control transferred. Okay. I'm going to comment. Let's take that test out for a minute. Let's take easy mode here. Oh, now this worked. Okay, that's the one I was going to test. Why would that work? Oh, it works because the loop we did. Okay, so maybe this is the next test. This is my test that proves that we don't really execute that correctly. And we'll justify the remaining work today, I think. Okay, here we go. 1020. Okay, so Actually, trying to think why it wasn't 2010. I guess what happened is it go to 20, it set the next line number, but we're still in the loop running through the top level stuff. And so we get through all that. And then we go to the next line number. Oh, that's 20. Let's print 20. Okay. That tells me this loop is messed up. And I want to change things. So maybe this is... let's see. All right. I think the thing we don't have, and we'll set aside that. I need to ask, a parse no. I need to ask an array of statements constrained the way we talked about at the beginning of the day. It can be any statements, but once you have an if, that's the last statement. An if with multiple statements inside. That's the last statement, and the same thing is true within the list of statements that it has. So for given a list of statements, how many subparts are there? Kind of recursively on the list. And that is, well, that's almost a nice, I could make statement, tell me. All right. Let's do that. All right. So we're gonna ignore that failing test. I'll set it aside, and we'll take a to-do to fix that. Okay. Let's see where we are. Make if use statement instead of sequence. Okay, we've done that. This is all part of multiple statements per line. We also make parse take statement instead of statement. Okay, that's all accurate. We do need to do this. I don't need to spike this, but I'm going to create it. Make current line more sophisticated. That we did. That's the location stuff. For next on same line, go sub returning to middle of line. Okay. Yeah, so I want this to be a parse function. I don't know if I have a parse tests, but I will use parser tests instead. Okay. And it's really very similar to our spike, so let's go down there. I don't know where we put it. Oh, we didn't. Okay. Oh, interpreter tests. Okay. No, I think parser tests would be a better place. Even though it's interpreter that cares more. Okay. So let's see, test. simple statements just count. If we do that should equal 3. I forget, do you say static func? Count. Give it a list of statements. And it returns you an int. Okay, we'll just start stupid, return statements.count. Okay, and then why are you okay? Okay, so if I do go to 1 and then I do if with number 1 and an array of statements. Doesn't matter what they are. Okay, then I should find there are 3. Go to 1 if something array. Yeah. This test should fail. Okay. And we're going to implement it somewhat like this. This is the accessor, but we just want the count. I'll just borrow this just because I forget the syntax so fast. Okay. So if the list if the last entry is an if, test. Okay, so if this last statement is an if, then we're going to return something. If it's not an if, we return statements.count. That part is okay. So I think we want to return statements.count -1. Okay, so statements.count -1 is the things left of the if statement. And then we want to add in the count of the children of the if. Okay, which is statement.count of inner. Okay, so if the last child is an if, then count the things to the left plus the count for the inner child. All right, and I think let's see, parser tests. That should pass. And then it applies recursively. So I think this test, we get this for free. If the statements are this and the last statement is another if, number 3 and brackets, if, close the if, close the go to, close the if, close the bracket. Okay, yeah. Number, and then this is okay. Then we have 1 for this go to, 1 for this one, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I could number them appropriately. And this becomes 5. Okay. And I expect this to pass already. Okay. And I could have done that more slowly. I could have just returned statements.count -1 plus inner.count and then said, oh, it's recursive. Okay. Yeah, I should have written both tests and let it rip that way, I think. Okay. Let's see. So now we know the statement knows how to count inner statements. All right. And then I think we want to move this. Whoops, interpreter tests. Let's move this. Well, we can do it this way, I guess. I mean, I think we TDD'd our spike, so I don't mind moving it directly. But let's pull this test in over to parser. Test location numbering. Statement. Let's say this should be statement.at. Well, and tests this function we tested. Let's move it into parse. All right, and this test should pass. So much for that. At cannot be used on statement. Oh, I didn't make it static. Okay, so make statement know how to count and find substatements in arrays of statement. I guess I can be fancy like that. All right. Okay. So I think we have the helpers we need to compute the locations in our interpreter. And we have this test. We have it. Is it X'd out? Okay. Now, all right. Let's run this one. Should still fail. We haven't done anything that would change that. Okay. We got 10, 20 instead of 20. So it executed everything on there. All right. Let's take a quick break, but I think we're ready to flip this around and more accurately find these locations and then get rid of this stuff for each stuff. I think we can control that through our location. All right, so 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll come back and see if we can get that working. All right, welcome back. So I'm still struggling with this name on the location, and I think maybe I'm just going to change it to part. Like part 0, part 1, part 2. I don't know. I'm struggling for the right thing on it, but I think I can live with that. The line number and the part. Slot position, statement number. Okay. All right. Let's see. So I think what I want to do first, I think the real thing is the step is not. I think I should be doing step 1. All right. And so if I take step 1 of parse dot statements sub location dot part. All right. We know location is already the current line. We've parsed it, and the parse has the list of statements. If they're colon separated, there's more than one. And location.part tells us which one of those substatements we want to use. And it starts 0. And so I think this should be neutral. Everything should pass except the one test. Good. All right. And now this line number stuff, this always setting it to 0 can't be right. All right. So I'm going to move more text. Well, let's do all of it. All right. So I'm duplicating it here and here. All right. So this is it's almost a definitional for if statement, but normally if you've got a common tail of an if statement, you can, if both if the if and the else both do the same thing at the end, you can pull that out into the statement following them. I'm doing the opposite. I'm running that refactoring backwards. I'm taking code that followed an if statement and I'm pushing it into the tail of both the if and the else side. And so I don't need it in here now. Okay, they both do it. All right. But I don't think they should. So I want to differentiate it and we'll make it all come out right. Okay. It's a little weird to say, oh, we're going to get one failure, one failure, one failure, but it tells me I'm still doing things right. All right. So if the next line number is not nil, then that means there was a go to or go sub. I guess that's our two choices, or an on go to or an on go sub that says we should transfer control. And we absolutely should set the column number to 0. That's fine. All right. And reset the next line number. Okay. Then we do need to look up the new line. Okay. And if we don't find it, that's we return the error, I guess, with that. And we set up the next line in the parser. Okay, so we've adjusted the location and we've brought in the next line to run. Okay, I guess one break wouldn't hurt there. Now, that seems good to me. Again, I'm making sure everybody runs. So, okay, the other case, I'm going to flip the clauses on these. And I think I'm hoping to get rid of something. So, okay, so I'm going to reverse the if and the else. And I really wish my IDE would help with that. The body, else, there. And I have to negate if next line number equals nil. Oh, missed a line. Maybe more than that. Yeah, I missed a brace in a line. The brace. Whoops, no, that one should be there. This is the extra brace. Okay. That wasn't smooth. Okay, so now if the next line number is nil, that means we're just doing a normal transition. What I'd really like to do is not just jump to the following line to this one, but I'd like to increment my location. Now, okay. And if all right, let's see what we can do. Okay. If the next line number is nil, that means nobody tried to transfer control. I should just step forward to the next location. All right. So I would like to do something like location equals location of location dot line number and location dot part plus 1. All right. But I can't just do that. All right. There's some case where, okay, yeah, how to say this? I'm getting at my test here is the deal. All right. So if, let's see, I just typed that line in. So it's got to be an if of some sort. So if something happens, then we're going to set location to that. And then otherwise, we're going to do all the stuff we did before. Okay. So if, sorry, let's get this indented. Oh, where's the else that? Okay. That should indent slightly. There we go. Okay. Well, when should we increment location? I think we need to say if the it's a function of the parse. Okay, so the count, basically it's the count thing. So if well, location dot part, okay, we got to look at that, is less than what? If location dot part is less than parse dot count of parse dot line statements. Okay, is that all we need? Statement to count. Okay, so if the location part, well, we got the statement count. All right, so let's say we have x equals 1, y equals 2. The location part would be 0, 1. The count should be 2. If it's less than that, then 1 is legit. We can increment it. No, because if it's 1 and we increment, it's 2. So it's really count minus 1. Let me flip the logic there. Location.part plus 1 is less than the count. Then it's valid to get to the location. Okay. And if we do that, okay, then we have a valid location. We have a valid parse because it started out valid. And we come down here and we try and step parse output. Well, I think we want to do the same thing we did here. Okay. Now, if we're already at the end of the line, then we need to move to the next line. So we do this temp equals location temp, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay. All right. And that, okay. Are we there? Okay. Think so? Okay. Location dot part. Oops. .25 part 1. Okay, let's see our test. Test. What test? What test are we running? If with multiple statements. Okay, well, that's more challenging. Let's print the parse. Location 25, part 1. Interpreter test. This is 0 and 1. If okay, so the whole thing is part 0. Oh boy. Okay, let's step in. I don't know. Two values: print 25, print 30. But I think we're up at the level. We're at the top level. Line 25, part 1 doesn't exist. Why did we get there? All right, let's break in there. And run that test. Hey, hello. So we're doing a basic interpreter written in Swift, and the we've done a lot of statements of various sorts. What we're trying to work on is something where you can have multiple statements on a line. So this one, if 1, then print 25, print 30, they bind closely. So everything after the if is part of it. So it should print 25 and then 30 and then 50. If it bound the wrong way, it would print 25. Well, no, it wouldn't really be a problem. I guess if it was if 0, it shouldn't print the 30. Okay. And so we're right in the middle of trying to decode these pieces of statements and start tracking not just the line number but the part of the statement. And we're blowing up in this test. Literally just started it, so I'm not quite sure why, but it tried to access piece 1, and at the top level there's only one piece. So piece 0 is this whole statement, and piece 1 is not sensible on it. Okay, so why it didn't maybe it's making me think. It's good to explain it to somebody because you see things. I think what's going on is the fact is there are parts that are higher. Okay, I think the issue is we're asking for parse of statements of this part, but location.part it looks inside the statements to see what pieces of things should be done. And maybe when you're maybe when you're stepping forward, it's not the statement count. Is it the parse.statements count? All right. So I think the trickiness is when we execute inside the if. How am I going to know that I'm on the right part in here? Okay. All right. Let's try it based on that and see if we're doing any better. Statement.count, parse.statements. Count. All right. We'll just run all tests. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So that screen, let's clean it. Okay. So we made moving to the next line, go to the next sub line instead. Okay. Or I don't know if that can be said better. Instead of stepping by line, step by subline, something like that. All right, and then the reason I did all this flipping around earlier, this chunk, temp equals program line after, we in effect, this stuff is all the same from not this line, but this line on down to here. We set the temp location, next line number is nil, fetch the line and parse it. So I should be able to make this clause the same. Okay, so if the next line number is nil, somehow I have to get this piece in, temp equals program line after. Ugh. If next line number is nil, if let's try pulling this out this way. If next line number is nil and this, okay, then we definitely need to do this. Else if next line number is nil, so I'm kind of rearranging my if statement. If the next line number, else if the next line number is nil, well, then I want to do this. And I really want to do this. Is that. Okay. And now, if next line number is not nil, then I want to do all that junk. Okay, if the next line number is not nil, location next line number equals nil. Temp is next line number. Okay. Here. Okay. I think I've got it. Let's trim all this out and make sure. Okay. All right. So if next line number is not nil, then that means we either, let's see, if next line number is, if it's nil and we've still got room in the current statement, just bump the location forward. If the next line number is nil and it's not in that, and there's no more room, then we want to go fall through to the line after it. And if we come in and next line number is not nil, we've already had a go to and we need to go there. Okay, so we've got here, notice this still has next line number equals nil. So if it just falls through the piece, that's fine. But if there is a new location, we go there, clear out next line number, dig up the line, parse it, and then execute the parse at the current location. I think if I've done that right, everything should just run. All right, good. Because that was getting pretty sloppy. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is a little more complicated. All right. You come in the program to run from the top. You execute the initial location and initial part. Then you figure out where you're supposed to go next. If you can go forward by a part, you do that. Otherwise, you fall through the next line. Otherwise, you've already had a go-to or you've fallen through, and you use that line number as the target. Read in a parse, and then you execute it. Okay. And so we're calling step 1 now. I don't think anybody needs to call step anymore. Okay, there's a test. This is, what's that? Do sequence. I don't think anybody's calling this anymore. Nope. We got rid of that earlier. Looking for step. Okay, there's step. That's gone. Try step. Do if. Okay, that one we're going to have to look at, I think. Many of these, I think, I believe they should be able to call parse dot statements of 0. Okay. Let's make sure this test is good. There may be something that can't do this sort of thing, but I think that's okay. Yeah, this one Since these only have one thing in their list, they should be okay with step 1. Okay, let's make sure those all pass. Okay, so eliminate uses of step. And then interpreter, I don't think anybody's calling this now. Oh, they are. The if statement. Okay. Does it need to? All right. I think that's a good question for next time. All right. Create function account total statements. I guess I'm way behind on this. All right. We did this. And this one we did. Okay, but I think what we need to pick up with is look at how if statements execute their body. All right, and so we need to, when you do an if, you're supposed to do its children as they need to be. And this is where I think I'm a little, this is where that thing around incrementing and how you access, let's go back there, this stuff. I think there's something something off there. I'm not sure how to specify to get to the sub statements of an if and execute those and tell my interpreter to really just dive in and do those. Yeah, that's going to be tricky. All right. But anyway, our time today is done. So the next time is tomorrow, Friday, and 10 a.m. Eastern time to 12:30 p.m. or 3 to 5:30 p.m. UTC. We'll pick up with this if statement thing and maybe this scheme of the parts and all that stuff. Maybe there's just something not quite together about it. I'm a little worried there, but we'll find out tomorrow. All right, Jack Flapper, thanks for joining today, and hope I catch you in the future. And same for the rest of you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.